A very good evening to you. Well, delighted to have you join us here on Big Talk tonight. It is Thursday, 16th day in the month of May 2024. I am Uyag Mofwebe live on global television in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Tonight, we turn our attention to the South-South and, of course, by extension, at the twilight of today's conversation, the Northwest, the Southwest, where, of course, there are elections in Edo and then Ondo State as well. However, our focal conversation will be on Edo. Recall that in the course of this current week, INEC has dedicated the bulk of its time to interacting and interfacing with critical stakeholders with regards to these two very important off-cycle elections. Of course, Edo had election in 2024, same thing for Ondo. Incidentally, there's always a 3-month interval between elections in both states, and this year, 2024, is no exemption. Again, tonight, we turn to Edo State, where the gladiators have thrown their hearts in the ring, particularly amongst the 3 major political parties of Labour, PDP, and, of course, the APC, which at the federal level is the ruling party, which many people have also said could be an edge of some kind, or if you like, as they say in business, competitive advantage for the All Progressives Congress States chapter that's in Edo. Now we understand INEC has flagged off officially. INEC has opened the window for campaign, and then continuous voter registration, of course, is already on as it stands right now. In addition to that, INEC long before now had released the lists, the authentic list, as some politicians would say, of candidates for all the political parties that are vying to holds the number 1 seat in the state, which is the Osadebe Avenue Government House in that state. However, let's talk about the politics of the process, how it is working out internally and beyond the internals of the political parties themselves. We've seen rivalry amongst all 3 major political parties of Labour, of course, the All Progressives Congress, and the People's Democratic Party. As it stands today, the incumbent governor, Godwin Inogagase Obaseki, is a major factor in terms of the conversation around these ongoing developments of political activity in Edo State. And then when you turn to the APC, the former governor, the predecessor to Governor Obaseki, Comrade Adams Aliyu Shomole, who now is the senator representing Edo Central, Edo North Senatorial District, is also a pivotal force in that state. Of course, you look at all the 3 candidates for the People's Democratic Party, the PDP. We have Dr. Barrister Aswe Igodalo, himself an investment banker who comes with a lot of experience under his belt. And of course, we're looking at, say, 3+ decades. Some people have said that could also be an edge for him to leverage, not just to win the election, but provide forward-looking leadership for the states. But then some people say, well, he's not a homeboy. By that, the idea is to say that he's not familiar with happenings on the ground. But the man has said, look, I'm connected to this place more than anyone can imagine. And he has also given or cited some instances. And then you turn to the All Progressives Congress, where we have a 7th Senator, Monday Okbebolo, who says, I'm not only a homeboy, but I can connect with my people and understand what their yearnings are, and then provide leadership along those lines in ways that are remarkably practical. And then lastly, you turn to the Labour Party, where you have Olumide Akpata himself, immediate past national president of the Nigerian Bar Association, NBA. Now, that isn't a small feat to achieve. So he also brags about how that he comes with sizable experience in terms of providing leadership at the national level. Like other candidates, he is also taking out time to interface and reach out to different interest groups, all aimed at ensuring that he emerges successful on the 21st of September, which is the date for which this very critical election has been scheduled. To help us make sense of this, I'm joined by a politician and a political commentator, Haruna Braimo, on the show tonight. Thank you, Braimo, for coming.
Thank you very much, Uju.
Great. So I'd like us to start with the fact that INEC now says at least 2,128,288 PVCs have been collected for both Edo and, of course, Ondo elections. That means that on the side of INEC, in addition to all the meetings, all the interactions, and all the efforts we've seen, these elections are already underway, one way or another. But I'd like you to walk me through what makes this process, beyond the political parties and their candidates, what makes the 2024 Edo election different from what we are seeing 4 years ago?
Yeah, The difference is going to be revealed at the polls, the result that we're going to have at the polls. But the momentum right now is already pointing in the direction, showing the willingness of the people to make their voice heard through the PVC by voting, by exercising their right, their franchise. And basically, 4 years is democratically provided in laws for people to make changes in government, either consolidating a city government or changing the government by voting such government out. So the Edo election is also very interesting on the ground that the city governor right now is not seeking re-election, unlike in 2020 when he sought re-election.
So you're saying that was a factor?
Of course. He's not seeking re-election, unlike 2020 when he was actually being re-elected.
Second term.
This is the second term. It's going away now. And we can practically say the three major players or people that have thrown their hat in the ring for this contest, they've not been governors before. You understand? So that is what makes it very interesting. And the fact that it's a period of referendum of sorts for the Edo people. I'm an Edo man.
Are you a homeboy?
Absolutely.
But you are in Abuja for the most part.
Yes, occupational mobility makes me to be in Abuja. But every other thing, I'm a homeboy, born and raised at home, school there, reaching out, politically connected there, just like my candidate, Senator Monday Okpewolo. That is why they call him homeboy. It's not a slogan. When you are homeboy, you are homeboy. You know the yearnings and needs of your people. And even before being in government, becoming a senator, Senator Monday Okpewolo has been reaching out to them, providing support to them, providing free transportation, water across the diverse communities in Eastern Central. So being called homeboy is not just a slogan for him, but an affirmation of what he is actually. If you did it day, like Wike said, he did it day.
Yeah,
if you're not homeboy, you're not homeboy.
Right.
He's homeboy for real. He's homeboy in doings. He's practical in homeboy. Leadership, homeboy. Experience, homeboy. He's been with the people. He's been part of them, and he's been doing it for them. And this gives them an opportunity to take him to higher level as far as governance is concerned. He's a service senator, the chairman Senate Committee on Procurement. That is not also a small feat. And coming to now, is people now calling on him to come and become the governor of Edo State, because he understands the state across the 18 local governments. Okpewolo can tell you community to community how it is going to connect projects. You just have to have a practical experience with him. Let him explain and dissect what good governance delivery is all about. Good governance delivery is beyond the rhetorics of grammatical oratory and write-up and English speaking. We've had English in the last 8 years. By November, that would be the end of grammar and MOU signings in Edo State. So we cannot consolidate on that.
I want us to turn our sights for a minute away from APC and PDP. Of course, there's the Labour Party. Of course, the other parties are also interested. But let's talk about how that. I mean, Olumide Akpata of the Labour Party, I forgot to add Osaibo in between because that's a new entrant into the name string. But the point I'm making is that he's also a force. Whether he's going to win the election, whether he's going to emerge, how much of impact he's making at the grassroots, we probably can't put fingers on that. But what we do know for a fact is that he's also reaching out, like these other two candidates you mentioned, Asue Godalo of the PDP and Monday Okpewolo of the APC. Let's talk about how the Labour Party, especially when you look at it from the standpoint of what we are seeing with the obedient movements in 2023, can also be a force that will sort of disrupt this process.
The truth of the matter is, if there is going to be any disruption, it's going to affect the PDP because
why is that?
Because of the unholy alliance between Obaseki and the obedient movement in Edo State. You should recall that during the House of Assembly elections, the seats that were supposed to be held or won by the Labour Party were ceded willingly. Those Labour Party candidates during the rerun, they stepped down for the PDP after meeting Obaseki and his government agent, and they said they sold out So Osagbovo coming out is a good one. It's a plus for the APC because the APC, the PDP and the Labour Party, they've been in the same room, their husband and wife, as far as political strategy in Edo State is concerned. It's a party, Labour is a party that is predominantly being carried on by the youths in Edo State, most of them. And Osagbovo as a person and professionally is very sound and good to provide leadership for Labour Party in that regard. But leadership for Edo State is beyond having professional experience. What we are lacking in Edo State today is not about being a technocrat or being a professional. It's obvious that we are lacking leadership that will bring cohesion to the state, leadership that drives unification of the state.
So a professional does not have the capacity to provide that?
We have experienced, I said in their professional capacity, they may be very good, but we are no longer lacking that in Edo State. Edo State is lacking political leadership. It's lacking that leadership that will drive, that will bring Edo together, that will now manifest in practicals the potentials of Edo State, economy-wise, social-wise, infrastructure-wise, because we've seen what has been happening. It's been all sorts of degradation. We'll be regressing in economy regression, social regression.
Under the current government?
Of course, in the last 8 years, the statistics are there. Every day, the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics keep churning out figures across the indices of economic performance across the 36 states. Is it not even a shame that out of 36 states plus FCT 37, Edo State is number 37 on the radar of ease of doing business, as just released by NBS. We are the lowest in South-South and number 37 out of 36 plus FCT. That means even FCT, that is ease of doing business. Coming to education, we are talking of people that are professionals, who we hitherto would have thought had a lot of pedigree in that regard, and when they come to government, they would drive a sound policy. An educated mind is a progress in the waiting for any society. It's a productivity on its own. But at the end of the day, Edo State is second to the last among the 36 states plus FCT in Nigeria with the lowest budgetary allocation to education. The budget of the governor's office alone to run the governor's office of Obaseki is 23 billion. By the time you add that of the House of Assembly and the SSG office, it's about 63 billion. Then compared to the provision for education in the budget, it's ironic, it's sad, and it's very unfortunate. This is not about how professionally qualified you are. The provisions of the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria is clear for everybody what qualifies you educationally to vie for any political office in Nigeria, stemming from councillorship to the highest office in the land, which is the presidency. Leadership is beyond how many educational qualifications you have. Leadership capacity stems from your level of credibility, integrity, the capacity to deliver, the willingness to carry out servitude in leadership. That is what leadership entails, political leadership. The ability to carry on with your people when your followers are with you. Look at what is going on in Edo State today. It's obvious that the current Obaseki-led government is operating in utopianism.
I need to talk about something, because now it will appear, Aswe Godalo, a gentleman who came from, the corporate world, wanting to lead his state as the governor, is as if, for want of better words, he's paying for, quote unquote, I use these words very advisedly, the sins of Obaseki, in the manner of speaking. Because I listen to people talk on the streets, I talk to people on television, and it will appear they're saying, Obaseki, it's more like, not an asset, more like, if you like, a baggage for Aswe Godalo going into the election. And then that raises a question, because you have said time and again on this platform that Obaseki has done next to nothing in those states, particularly when it comes to forward-looking leadership. It raises the question of, what did Adams Oshomole see in Obaseki in 2016 to have tapped him to succeed him?
And it gives the answer that when we are talking of moving forward, it's better we forget about 2016.
No, we can't because it's part of the history. Isn't it?
Excuse me.
Yes.
Because the same Obaseki has not brought about continuity. Obaseki had a template. There was a program making Edo great. The larger Edo.
Mega.
No, not mega. There was a program of Oshomole that Obaseki was part of. Like the vision of Edo in the next 10, 20 years.
When he was the head of the economic team.
When he was the head of the economic team.
Right.
You know, so having been tested with leadership, it derailed. That's why I was trying to explain to you that being a professionally competent person does not qualifies you to have the capacity to provide political leadership.
Let's put some context to this.
So
Haruna, just for a second.
Oshomole came in 2020 to tell the old Edo people on his knee and he knelt down to say, forgive me, I had thought that with his professional capacity, he could provide political leadership. Obviously, I was wrong, but it was blackmail.
On what basis did they think? Because if we want to talk about 2020, how come we are avoiding talking about 2016?
I just told you, I've talked about it 2016.
Because on
the basis of his professional qualification and competence, he was able to convince Oshomole, and Oshomole felt he could provide the political leadership. 4 years down the line in 2020, 4 years was enough for APC to evaluate and realize that we are not on the trajectory of progress as far as political leadership is concerned. No matter how competent you are professionally, when you cannot provide leadership for the people, you are going to fail. And that is what we are experiencing in Edo State. It's beyond speaking of grammars. Because the result in good governance is what is going to be used as a yardstick to measure your performance.
Let's talk about your party for a second. I understand there's still...
And let me still come back to the Aiswa Egodalo. This is an opportunity. Aiswa Egodalo, his relationship with Obaseki is like a surrogate relationship.
How is that?
Because he is part and parcel of the government. It's not about carrying the baggages. He will part and parcel of creating part of the baggages of this government.
So he has to also take responsibility.
He's the economic advisor and also the head of the economic team of the Obaseki administration. There is no fundamental economic decision that Obaseki have taken in the last 8 years that never had the input of Aiswa Egodalo. Come to think of it, a man that was an economic advisor, the head of economic team to Edo State government, was also at the same time chairing corporate organizations, including banks.
Is that conflict of interest?
Exactly. He was the chairman at the same time of Sterling Bank. And Sterling Bank is being used, is the sole operative bank of Edo State government.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing is wrong with that. This is the conflict of interest we are talking about.
But
at the end of the day, most
he has
of the,
divested from those positions.
When, at what time? Recently. But you be the chairman of these banks and these organizations, even when you as well the head of the economic team of the government. Why didn't he resign 1 year ago? Or 2 years ago?
But the argument is that being the head of the economic team
is
more on consultancy basis.
He explains to us the level of consultancy he's been doing for the state government. The advisory role. If the advisory council, economic advisory, you are the head of it, and by way of the other, in his corporate world, that is a breach on corporate governance. If we have to do it from the corporate angle, it's a strong corporate person. The same man today, the agripreneur fund of 25 billion was warehoused in Sterling Bank when he was the chairman. Till tomorrow, there's no transparency, there's no accountability. None of them has told Edo State how many agriculture-related entrepreneurs or farmers that this money was shared to. This is money from the federal government. Former President Muhammadu Buhari released to Edo State. What of the 2.5 billion SME support fund? Which bank also? And if you say we are not talking of if we want to exonerate it from conflict of interest here. These are facts. So the baggages we are talking about is part and parcel of it. We cannot consolidate failure. We cannot consolidate regressive governance anymore. The kleptocracy that has been operated, what will be operating in Edo State in the last 8 years is not democracy.
I want us to turn to your party.
It's kleptocracy. Government by thieves, for the thieves, and of the thieves.
No, you have to take that back, Haruna. We can't use those unprintable words or names for not just people in position, but people who can't come on the program to speak for themselves. So please, you have to apologize for that, and then we'll have, push the conversation forward.
All right, apologies to that.
Thank you. So I was going to ask you about your own party.
Right.
They say charity begins at home and justice from the next door. Let's talk about how that you still have members of your party who feel disgruntled, so to speak, from your last, internal exercise, which is the primary election that produced, of course, the controversial one that produced Monday Okpebolo. Those matters are in court. Now, of course, we're not going into all of those details because that will be sub judice. I'm only asking, to what extent does that impact your readiness for going into this election?
Well, I think I need to clear the air right now, starting by making you understand that there's nothing outstanding. APC, as it is today, is a united, big, large family that is ready for election. If you are talking of disgruntled people, you should be talking of the PDP, which you are aware of. There's no acrimony, there's no disagreement. Every party that participated in the primaries has all been settled. Meetings have been held. The aggrieved member has all agreed to work with the mantra of Senator Monday Okpebolo and Right Honorable Dennis Idausa.
What's his mantra?
Mantra of development, mantra of rescuing Edo State. Edo State needs rescue from the hands of political Nebuchadnezzars that have held us back in the last 8 years. The mantra of a new breed of life, the mantra of fresh air, the mantra of provision of social services across the divide, the mantra of practical political leadership, the mantra of respecting the traditional institution of Edo State, our heritage that is worldwide accepted and acclaimed. It's not just national. That is the only state where you have a God king on earth, Oba, that does not have to get a staff of office from the government.
That's another angle to this conversation, Aruna. There's now the insinuation in some quarters, social media and off of it, that both the APC and the PDP are now leveraging the palace to push their political interests. You're dragging the kingdom into your
as an
political
Edo, I'm a born Edo man. Every Edo son and daughter is rising up, is awakening to the reality of the dastardly act that is being done on the most valuable royal institution that have stood 2,000 years plus in the modern history today. The royalty of the Great Benin Kingdom. This is not about partisanship. If we're talking of partisanship, SPC is not a government. APC was not the one that attempted to balkanize the Benin Traditional Council in the first place. APC was not the one that went to revive the 1970-something traditional law or whatever. APC was not. APC is not the government that fraternized and openly had unholy romance with some of the dissident Inigies that were ostracized or suspended by the Benin Traditional Council. These are all in the public domain for all to see. So where is APC coming in from? APC members, just like every other Edo son and daughter, is rising to the occasion that you cannot take our Reverend Oba to court for whatever reason, under any guise, whether such act is being done by the Enige with the hand of Esau somewhere, clapping for them and urging them on. It is time for us to let the world know that our institution means a lot to us.
We're going to take a quick break now, Runa. There's a lot more to talk about, but that will be right after the short break. Do stay with us. So I was going to ask you this about the break, just before the break, but I thought we should make it part of the last lap of this conversation. The former deputy governor, the impeached deputy governor, Philip Shoibu, is reaching out, is interfacing, is doing all of the, if you like, trying to form alliances here and there. There's the insinuation that, well, it's going to remain the PDP because it's the strategic thing and the common sense thing to do now in light of his political career going forward. there's also the permutation that in the final analysis, he may not formally move into the APC, but he's going to throw his weight behind the APC because he has to play the spoiler role, so to speak, going into this election, given what he has also suffered politically in recent times. What's your sentiment and what are you hearing and saying?
Right Honorable Philip Shaibu, the former Deputy Governor of Edo State, is a man of no little political means. So, as such, it's very relevant to the political activities going on right now. And also, he's got his rights to pitch tent with whichever camp he deemed fit to work with. For now, is to himself, having meetings, engaging with different stakeholders, is just be welcomed.
Including the state chairman of your party.
Yes,
of course, he had met with him.
When it comes to the Edo question, across the political divide, every politician is a stakeholder. You understand? So, you still have friends in the PDP. He still has a lot of crowd and followers in the PDP whom are very relevant to any of the opposing political party. They will also be waiting for his directive or direction or instruction politically on where they should pitch tent with or work with in the forthcoming election. So we can't rule out any possibility of being involved indirectly. But using the word being a spoiler, for somebody to exercise his fundamental human rights of choice and giving direction to his followers on where he deemed fit or think is better for them to be at this critical time of
which is the APC.
Of
which is the APC.
Rescuing Edo. He has not made it official or formal. Yeah, he has the right to do so because the mantra of rescuing Edo State is the yearning and aspiration of every Edo indigene at the moment, or every Edo citizen. So even some people in Labour Party, even some in the same PDP, you are talking of Philip Shaibu. Why are you not talking of the National Vice Chairman South of the party, who was
Chief
Danobi, who has openly withdrew himself from the campaign and said he's not going to work with them. Why not talk of the former Speaker of the House of Assembly, Okiye, who has resigned from the same PDP in Edo State and said they are not going to work with them, rather with the mantra of rescue movement of Senator Monday Okpewolo and Right Honorable Dennis Idausa. Why not talk about the Board of Trustee member, National Board of Trustee of the PDP, Charlie Temple, EPA, Chief Charles Idausa. These are all men of...
the people who threw their weight behind Obaseki in 2020.
Exactly. These people are, everybody is keen into the mantra of rescuing Edo State. Before you think of providing direction, providing all sort of leadership, I'm a technocrat, and this is a state that is needing, is in ICU, political ICU, leadership ICU, economic ICU, security ICU. Which strata, which sector of governance are you going to assess Edo State right now? I just told you two, education and ease of doing business. We've not gone into that. And for me to let people know that this same ease of doing business in 2024, Obaseki budgeted 53 billion for circular economy, which means ease of doing business. Yet Edo State is carrying last in the whole Nigeria.
I think that nobody, including yourself, is highlighting reforms in civil service. Very, very radical reforms. Nobody's talking about those.
Because the reforms you are doing in civil service, for example, leadership is about, there's what is called sincerity of purpose.
Obaseki lacks that. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, absolutely. What has he done? What kind of reform has he carried out across, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's, you just measure it, I want to industrialize it, you create enterprise park. You withdrew money, you divested $1 million. You know how much is $1 million today? You divested $1 million from Azura Power Project and invested in enterprise park, and today it's at MOU stage. You have invested billions into Gelegele Seaport. You have invested billions into connecting railway to connect Okpela, from Okpela to Gelegele. You have invested billions in Auchi International Airport. The list goes on and on. The International Malaysian University of Innovation. The MOUs are much. It's not about reforms that cannot manifest after 8 years. It's useless. You told us we were going to be creating employment of 200,000 people. Unfortunately, you created employment for people. You give some sizable numbers of Edo indigenous government job, thinking they were happy that they've had government job. You place them on salary of 39,000 naira, and you made them contract staff. Now they cannot be absorbed into the civil service. What is civil service reform when you are increasing minimum wage to 70,000 naira? Meanwhile, Edo State is number 6 among the 10 most indebted states to the CBN who are borrowing from CBN to pay salaries. Do you know what that means? And we are talking of, you have Aiswa Igodalo as your economic advisor, borrowing to pay salary. Ironically, Edo State is the 9th richest state on IGR. Where is the IGR going to? It's being warehoused in Sterling Bank, because that is the bank to pay all the IGR to. You are having, it doesn't add up. This is pure, we are on air, we are mindful of the word we use. It's very unfortunate.
Can I ask you something very pointedly?
Because you imagine you increasing worker salary for the whole world to hear. The same workers that you will recruit them, you make some of them, you make all the workers you've recruited in your tenure as contract staff, paying them less. The existing ones you want to pay, you are paying them by borrowing from CBN, budget support fund for pay salaries. Meanwhile, in the other world, you are announcing to the whole world that Edo State has grown in IGRO to the extent that we are number 7 and being number 9 on the radar of states with the highest IGRO in Nigeria. So why are you now using? What are you using the money to do? Why are you borrowing? Do you know what that means? Borrowing to drive recurrent expenditure is driving, indirectly pushing the state to technical bankruptcy. That is, you are having liquidity issue. When you are now borrowing to pay to undertake recurrent expenditure, we're not talking of capital projects, because borrowing to fund capital projects automatically means those capital projects can expand the economy and bring more money.
I need to ask you these 2 questions, quite frankly, but now that we're talking about the economy and, of course, business-related concerns, we understand that the organized labor has just walked away from a meeting where they were supposed to have negotiations with the federal government. The reason being that we understand the government had proposed 48,000 naira minimum wages against the 615,000 that Labour had asked for. However, conversely, Edo State government has moved from 30 to 40 now to 70,000 naira minimum wage. Isn't that enough basis to at least give credit to the state government?
I just explained to you, or the short run, give credit when to a state government, the total civil servant in Edo State is not up to 1% of the population of the state. What is
so
the
you're saying it's a drop in an ocean?
What is the impact of that? What has it designed any social investment program to cater for the unemployed youth that is almost 1 million? About 900 something.
I would have thought Edo Jobs is addressing that.
Social investment program is different from Edo Jobs. The Edo Job that is used to recruit graduates and making them contract staff, why is it not paying them the 70,000?
Because they are not in the core civil service system.
Why are they not? What has stopped them? What stopped them? How do you get government employment as a teacher, and at the end of the day, your fellow teacher in the same school that you are teaching, you are teachers in the same school. They are paying them. They are core civil servants. They are taking you in this modern world. That is slavery in the labor sector. You are calling them a contract staff. If this government can be calling you contract staff, what will the private sector call you? You can't even absorb them. Who is deceiving who? You know, when these people come on television to grandstand with smooth talking, grammatical prowess, we clap for them. You announce minimum wage of 70,000. The next month, by month end, you will go to CBN, the federal government again, to go and borrow from central bank to pay the minimum wage. Is that fiscal rascality?
Okay, I think this is where we're going to leave this conversation, because this is May, elections are in September, which means our campaign will run for several more weeks into the election. Of course, that also creates the possibility to bring you back here a couple of more times going forward, so we can push these conversations further. I'd like to say a big thank you to you, Aruna.
Thank you very much. Always my pleasure.
Yeah, that's what we draw the curtains tonight, everyone. Thank you for investing a part of your time with us. Tomorrow I'm back here with another very incisive and in-depth conversation. I'm Uyag Mofwegwe, live in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. Coming up shortly will be our News Prime. Do stay with us.